Hello everyone, Bonnie here today with something a little different for you. I'm going to call this one a rainy day reset. It's a rainy day here. First day it's been kind of cool and we all work so hard. It's important to remember that you need days to just, recover, reset, stretch yourself out. So I'm going to be giving you a little short, just reset movement routine. Now this can be on a day that is your recovery day, or it can be something that you throw in pre or post workout. I'm going to be using, this is called a pinky ball. You can use a tennis ball. We're going to go through some foot release work, and then we're going to go through some foam rolling, and also use the foam roller just for some mobility and stretching. So just get comfy, and we're gonna start working our way from the ground up. I'm gonna place the ball on the floor. Now I'm just standing, hopefully, so you can see a little bit better. So you can have a wall nearby. You can do this seated as well. And you're just gonna roll the ball underneath the foot. And you want to, kind of start in the middle of the arch, and you work your way, inside to outside of the foot. What's nice about working with the ball is you can control the amount of pressure, right? So if you push harder, you're gonna notice more sensation, right? You don't wanna work to the point of a lot of pain, but keep it nice and easy. So I'm going kind of to the ball of my foot down through the arch to the heel. And think about applying more pressure as you push through the foot. Think about your breath, exhaling through that. So literally like you're kneading something, right? So you push down and push through. And then you might find areas that are speaking to you a little bit. So what I like to do is find that area and draw little circles in one direction. And if balance is an issue, you have your roller handy, the wall, or you can always sit down because that standing leg might eventually fatigue a little bit. And then remember to go both directions. So taking your time, it's so important to work the feet. And if you do this on a regular basis, the ball, like the one I'm using, is pretty dense, it's pretty hard. So if that is causing too much pain, starting with a tennis ball or even a racket ball is gonna be a lot softer, and you can build your way up to something a little more firm. Now we're gonna go into some other types of stretching. I want you to place your heel on the ground. So I have the ball underneath the ball of my foot, and I'm gonna wrap the toes. So I'm pushing down, so I'm gonna step over it, and then release, picking the toes up. So pressing down and up. So I'm rocking weight off my opposite foot, pushing and releasing. One more time. And then come a little more toward the arch of the foot. Of course, any pain, you want to avoid that. So pressing down, more pressure there. And releasing. And press. Using the breath. Now for me, I'm getting into an area that's a little bit more tender. So I want to make sure I breathe through that. And then release. Okay. And then we're going to take this on the other side. So just notice though, hopefully the foot that you've done just becomes a little more awake. And I just have mine turned out. Hopefully, sir, you can see, but you can just have yours going straight on. And we just start with that rocking, rolling front to back. And the more pressure you apply, right, the more intense the work. And for this release class today, keep in mind, you are in charge of the amount of pressure. And anytime you're doing release work, you don't want to be like a 10 out of 10 on the pain scale, right? You want to keep things, about 5 or less. And if there is any real tenderness or pain, it should subside really as soon as you release that pressure. So if any pain is remaining, you probably went too aggressive to start with. But just rolling the feet, awesome activity for, like I said, a pre-post workout. There's really not like a right time to do this. There's just taking the time to do it, which we don't always do. So let's pause there. Find that little spot, and you might have more than one. So hopefully this video just lends itself to ideas. So feel free to go take this longer, right? You can spend more time in these. You can always shorten it up. So you don't have to feel like you have to commit to a full, let's say 20, 30 minutes. I'm just giving you ideas, and you can go through this pretty quickly. It all counts. It's all good. So then you're gonna have your heel down. Come more to the ball of the foot. Think the widest part of the foot on that ball, and you're gonna wrap the toes around, shifting weight, and then back. And wrapping the toes around. Just that exhale, and then release. Again, wrapping and releasing back. Again, and releasing back. Do this again. And you can work your way more into the midfoot. And that can be a little dicier in there. So listen to your bodies. Totally normal if a foot's tighter than the other. I know my left foot is. But for our time's sake, we'll try to keep it pretty even. But I would, and sometimes I will spend more time on that foot just because for me it needs that. So there is our short little foot release. So I'm gonna just set the ball to the side, and I'm using a foam roller. This is a full foam roller. Just so you're aware, you may have a white one at home. White are gonna be a little softer, and if you've never foam rolled before, you're gonna wanna start with a white one. The black are a little more dense, and then anything you're gonna find out at stores, especially ones that are rubber, some might have little bumps or spikes on them. Those are gonna be pretty aggressive. So if you have not foam rolled before, I advise you really not starting with something like that, but you certainly can work your way up to it. So we're gonna come down to the floor, and we are working through our calves. So what I'm gonna do is I'm sitting, and rolling does work the upper body a little bit. So with one leg on, I'm gonna kind of roll through, and I push my body weight forward and rock it back. And notice how I have the leg turned out. So I'm rolling more on the outside part of the calf. And the more pressure you apply, just like on the foot, the more intense the rolling. Now I'm gonna bring my toes straight up and down and roll down the middle of the calf. And in this setup, I do have to use my arms to push the butt off the ground. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna show you one side with the roller, and then one side using the ball as an alternative for maybe if it's a little too difficult to lift your body weight up off the floor. And then I'm gonna angle my foot to the inside, and I'm rolling. One thing you can do, just with the roller, if you can't lift off the ground, is just move your leg. So I'm sitting down now, and I'm just pushing the leg. And just like the foot, you might find a spot that just speaks to you a little bit. It's a little tighter. So I find that spot, and you can go internal, external. So I'm just applying that added pressure right through that part of the muscle. Or you can find that area and just dig in a little bit deeper there. And then we'll release. As promised, I'm just gonna show you how to kind of work the calf on the other side. You can do the roller. You can take the ball in your hand and just draw circles through your calf muscle. So a lot of times with foam rolling, people are like, oh, it's too hard on my wrist. I can't get down on the ground. That's where a ball is really nice. You can just do it seated. You could be sitting in a chair and work through that way. So you can do circles, and you can do more of an up and down action. And you're working your way all the way around the muscle up and down. It's gonna be less aggressive when you use your hand. You can also get a little more into it if you put the ball down, but this is gonna require being on the floor. So I do the same thing I did with the roller. I roll through one part of the muscle. I always think of it in 3 sections. So I'll roll what I refer to as kind of the inside, and then the medial just right down the middle, and then the lateral side, which is more on the outside. And if I find those little spots I want to dig into, I just take that. So hopefully that gives you an idea how to use the ball. I'm going to be using the foam roller for the rest of my rolling routine today, but you can always pretty much use this anywhere that works. Moving on to our hamstrings. So now I have the roller, it comes right up underneath the glutes, and I roll down to just above the back of the knee, not on the knee itself. 1 foot down is a way to start, and let's start rotating that leg out and rolling down the outside part of those hamstrings. So here's an option, again, more of a beginner option. To apply more pressure to the leg, you can take your other leg off, cross it over. And now I'm working through the middle of the leg, that medial part. Now I have to hold my weight up on my hands. So an option is to come down and just kind of do a side to side, which means you won't have to hold your body weight up, okay? And think of those 3 sections again. So I did the outside, I did the middle, and then I'm gonna rotate inward and hit kind of into the inner thigh. And as we start working into these bigger muscles of the hips, you're gonna have some hot spots, you're gonna have some areas that speak to you. Hopefully you even feel the body warming up, right? What we're doing is some myofascial release, trying to take the tissues, the fascia that surrounds the muscles, and think of it kind of like an iron, ironing them out and then going to the other side. So I don't like to overthink this a lot. I go about, let's say 4 to 5 passes, and then I move to the next section. So now I'm on to the middle and breathing, creating some heat. As I said before, foam rolling, be done anytime. Super effective warm-up for your body if you're preparing to move, right? Especially if you're gonna do some cardio. You need to have those muscles nice and loose. And you can do this in sections. If you know you're gonna go for a run, you wanna roll out the legs, maybe a little bit of your back. If you're gonna be doing more of an upper body workout, you can do that. And if you have the time, you can do it all together, but you try not to skip out just because you don't have time to do the whole thing. Alrighty, we're going to bring it in, and now we've worked our way up to the glutes. So for the glutes, I'm gonna sit right on top of my roller and let the knees fall to one side. So you're on one glute here, and you're gonna roll across. Like I said, as we get up into these hips is where you are gonna maybe start to feel a little more. Remember our pain scale, right? Staying about mid-range. Everyone has a different tolerance, right? But basically, rule of thumb is when you come off of the roller, off that spot, that pain really subsides immediately. It's not something that's lingering. So roll front to back. So I just have my knees angled the other way. And you're trying not to clench the muscles, let them relax. Okay, now we're gonna go into the side of the hip or the IT band. So if I turn this toward you, I'm going to be laying, have my elbow on the ground, and you want the roller just below the hip bone, so you're never on the bone itself. And that bottom leg's up, and you're gonna roll to just from above the side of the knee, down the side of the hip. Now this one can really elicit some pain, right? Some intense pressure. I'm using my opposite leg as a lever to really take some pressure off the rolling leg, and it can be behind or in front. And I'm having to use my elbow. Another one that you could take your ball and roll with your hand and maybe loosen that up first. You might hear me talk a little less and focus on my breathing because this is a tight spot for me. But I still like to maybe hold those areas I feel more tightness, slow down and really press through them. So just loosen up, or you might be a person who just feels a little better moving, and that's fine too. And then while I'm here, I'm gonna just roll onto my front to hit the quad, the front of the leg. So the leg that's not on the roller is off to the side, and the leg I'm rolling is right on top, and I just roll right down the front and then back right into the hip flexor. Such an important area to roll out. It's a tough area to stretch, so the foam roller really allows you to get some nice release work and mobility there. 2, and go about 1 more time. All right, now we're gonna hit that IT band on the other side. So I'm gonna bring it around. Lay to the side, elbow down, and roll down the side of that leg. Just right above the knee and through. You, but my sides are extremely different. This side is much easier, less painful, but that shows me kind of where I need to be focusing a little bit more. Not saying it's without any discomfort, but much less. And we'll take a couple more. And then turning. So if I'm rolling my right quad, I slide the roller to the right. So you can see that a little bit better. So I'm not running into it. And right up kind of toward the hip crease and down to just above the knee. And we'll do one more. Alrighty, and come on up. So now we've worked our way to our back. And one of my favorite things to roll. So I place the roller behind me, lean back. You can have your hands across your chest or behind the head, really kind of whatever feels best to you. And I just pick the hips up and roll to the shoulder blades, and then press and roll kind of to the waistband, and just a little easy back and forth. And just like we did with the legs, think of the back in 3 sections. So I do the center, and then I angle kind of to one side. So I hit more right shoulder blade, and then down and back and forth. And then angle to the other side. Okay, and that's rolling out the back. Now you can come to one side, and it's just kind of underneath the armpit. I have one arm extended out. And to kind of roll into the lat, instead of moving the roller, I move my body. So I roll slightly forward, and then I open back. And then where you place the roller, determines kind of where that pressure is. So you can always scoot it a little bit lower or a little bit higher. And just I roll the body kind of like I'm rolling forward toward my stomach and then toward the back. There's always a spot right around that shoulder blade. So I find it, and then you can roll right across there. So, the thing to keep in mind is you really can't do this wrong. The only thing wrong would be, not taking time to do this work. So, don't worry about exact position. Your body will let you know. And then I'm going to take that to the other side. So I just have it beside me. Reach out. And then find a spot in there and then move the body. Rolling it forward and rolling it back. Just breathing out and in. And a couple more. And then find a spot and just roll right through that area. Use the support of the legs. Okay, so next, upper back and shoulders. Working our way up. I like to sit the roller about at the tips of my shoulder blades, and this is spinal extension. So we have the hands behind the head. And as I go back, really support your head and think of lifting your heart, lifting your chest, and just folding back however far you can. Now, if this is new to you, you may not be going very far at all. It may even take your breath away slightly. So go very small. And you can even try this on like a half foam roller or just a little ball. So you're trying to bend backwards, opening up, and then folding, supporting the head. And you're not trying to take your head down, you're trying to open up the front ribs and lift. So I don't want to drop my head back, I'm holding onto it and just making it heavy in my hands. And then fold. And these are kind of intense, so take your time, but then angle to one side. And then fold it up. And angle to the other side. And up. Breathe it in. And breathe it out. And one more time. And you can turn this into a full-on circle. You can go to one side, circle it around, and then go back the other way. The lower it is on your back, the more intense it's going to be. So if I slide it here, your range of motion can be much bigger, but the intensity is going to increase. If this is really challenging for you, keep it pretty high and just focus on moving the elbows and shoulders. Okay. Awesome. Now lastly, we're going to just do some shoulder mobility and some stretching. So I'm going to lay on the roller lengthwise. I think I'm going to turn at a slight angle here. It's easier to see. So I have the tailbone at one end and I have my head on the other. And the feet are flat, helping support that. And just lying here is probably one of my favorite exercises. Awesome to open the chest. If you sit at a desk at all, or looking down, it's so important to open the front of our bodies. And it's also a good place to just practice stability. So I lie here, and you can just do a real gentle side to side. Just shifting the weight, feeling that roller kind of nestle in between your shoulder blades. And then bring it to a center position. We're going to bend our elbows so that the fingers point up to the ceiling and try to reach your elbows toward the ground. No big deal if they don't touch. Kind of alerts you to where the tightness is in the front of the body. So if you go to reach your elbows and your back popped up off the roller, try to draw your ribs down. See if you can stay connected. And then we just reach up to the sky. And reach up as high as you can. As you pull your elbows down, try to keep the back connected to the roller. And then reach those arms up above the head. We'll do one more like this. and reach it on up. Now point your palms toward each other and go out to your sides. Feel as though your shoulder blades are giving the roller a hug. And then bring it back up. And breathe it in. So I'm trying to keep my ribs pulled down, my abdominals in, so that I'm not compensating by arching my low back. I'm really drawing down, open the arms. And up. Now reaching the arms back, same thing. Instead of popping the ribs, pull them down, stretch long, and then just take a circle. Now of course listen to your shoulders if you need to soften the elbows, and then bring the arms and take it up again, reaching back, breathing in, and then circling around. And reach back, inhale. And exhale. And then take a reverse. I'm just lightly tracing my hands along the ground, but maybe they don't touch the ground. And that's okay, right? If you need to keep the elbows more soft, protect the shoulders, do that. Reach around and melt it down. And let's go one more time. Let them reach around. And just let them melt down. And just rest in this position. You can have your palms down or palms up, or if you go wide with the arms, might deepen the stretch. Just nice to stay here. Just really let your collarbones widen. Relax the neck. Okay, and then to come out of this, it's probably easiest just to slide your hips kind of to one side. You can come off the roller, and I'm going to end with some hip flexor stretches. You're going to take the roller and slide it underneath your pelvis. And kind of same idea, take one leg, extend it out long, and try to get to a better position here. One leg long, my head is down, shoulders relaxed. And then I'm going to take the opposite leg and draw it up. And if you can, you're going to reach onto that leg. And the leg that's out may not be able to stay on the floor, because it's really going to pull the front of that hip. So you want to, again, keep the abdominals active. Right, so as I really pull that left knee in, my right leg wants to come up, and that's okay. I think long. So I'm hugging the left knee in as I stretch through that right leg, opening up that hip. Take your time. This is a very intense stretch, but awesome for the hip flexors. And then I'm going to switch legs. So reaching the left leg out long, just rest here for a moment because you are in quite a bit of back extension. And this might be it for you, or you can pick the right leg up, and that pelvis is going to start to tuck under. And then if you're able, you can hug the right knee into your chest and reach that left leg out long. And it may or may not be on the ground. That does not matter. You'll feel the stretch. And where that extended leg is, if you let it open to the side, you're going to get a different stretch. If you pull it more to the middle, you'll feel that stretch change. If you're really tight, it's probably going to want to fall open, and you try to bring it more centered. And then bring that in. Bend the knees, step the feet down, and we're going to slide the roller out. And then come on up. And lastly, to stretch the shoulders, do this from a kneeling position, but you could also stand up against a wall if being on the knees doesn't work for you. And you're just going to take the roller and walk it out in front. So my hips, they can be up, And you're just gonna bring the head down between your arms and reach as far as you can. And you can do a gentle rocking front to back. But just getting those arms reaching out over the head, letting that head fall down between the arms. And then you draw it in, draw the belly in, walk the hands in. And then you can look up. And then come to standing. Hold the ends of the roller. And we're just gonna reach it out all the way up above our head, stretching up. And then rounding down. And you can just let it, pretend it's heavy, let it take you down a little bit, soften the knees. Stretch through the backs of your legs, roll yourself up, reach the roller up above your head. And then take it down. Find a stretch at the bottom. And roll yourself up, lift to the top, and just twist. And then come through, twist the other way. And bring it to center and release. So thank you so much. That one's a little different, but thank you for taking the time to do this kind of rainy day reset with me. And again, remember, you can do this anytime. Any amount counts, whether you have 2 minutes or 30 minutes. Thanks again. I will see you next time.